we fighting for, brothers? We're fighting for a righteous world. 2 Peter 3:13. We're fighting for a world of total righteousness. We're fighting for a world where we're going to be exalted, where we're going to be lauded, where we're going to be praised as the people of the Most High, as the Israelites, as the elect of the nation of Israel. Think about that, man. The elect of the nation of Israel, part of the 144,000. Think about that. Huh? That alone should inspire you. There's even a song, man. Oh, when the saints come marching in. We're those saints that's going to come marching in. Oh, I want to be in that number. We're in that number. We believe that according to faith. Come on, brothers.
Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashum, Yahweh Shai, Bahashum, Makakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being an example to us younger brothers, and peace and blessings and salutation to the hopeful lake out there pushing the word and truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh, Bahashum, Yahweh Shai, pushing to get up out of there. Shalom to the hopeful lake, the believers, the listeners who have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Shai. All right, and what I want to get into today is dealing with the wicked, network of Edom. All right, and they will all be destroyed. Okay, because what we have to understand, the earth is ran, by a wicked network of Edomites. Okay, and the top of the network of Edomites are Amalek. Okay, when we say Edomites, we talking about the self-proclaimed, white men, women, and children that rule the earth today. Okay, when you look at, the power structure of the earth, the top government in the earth, what is the Edomite? It's the Edomite power structure. Okay, the so-called white man. His government is the dominant government in the earth, and it goes back to a blessing given to him by Isaac. Okay, and he will rule that blessing with the sword. He will maintain his blessing with the sword. Okay, it's one thing to, conquer, through war. But this devil, he will maintain his blessing with war, constant war. All right, because it's a wicked empire. Okay, and when you go into the scriptures, the scriptures identify this man and his blessing. Okay, and how he would be moving. Okay, and you look at how powerful this man has been allowed to become. Well, this is the will of the Lord. Okay, and as you go through the scriptures, we constantly see that this man is, promised to be in power, to have great wealth. Okay, military, his influence, the wine of Babylon. but then there's always a prophecy of destruction to go with it. Okay, so the Lord, all right, has this man mapped out. He has this kingdom, okay, number. This kingdom always had the beginning and the end, the Edomite rulership. Okay, and we're at the end, there's no doubt. Okay, and all these devils, at the top are in cahoots together running this wicked kingdom. And the ultimate goal for these devils is to try to establish a new world order, okay? A technocracy, you know, that puts his technology at the forefront of society. That creates a system of complete control through his technology, man. Okay? And everything that we're seeing going on at the top is all connected for that agenda. Because these devils are trying to extend their blessing. So when you go to Job 9 and 24, it said the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof, is not where and who is he. So when you go into the scripture, it says, okay, first the earth, and that's the planet. All right, and this devil has the entire planet, you see, to his disposal. Now I said the earth is given into the hand of the authority of the wicked. Okay, so the earth was given to him. So who was it given to him by? All right, the Most High. Okay, the Most High allowed this man, all right, the earth to be given into his hand as authority. Okay, it doesn't because Esau just this great nigga in the earth, this superior race of people. No, the Lord gave this man the earth. Okay, and it says he covered the faces of the judges thereof, because the true judges are Israelites. Okay, dark skin, brown skin, all right, men. Okay, those are the true judges of the earth. But what did this devil do? He plastered his images on the true judges, on the Most High, okay, the Messiah, the prophets, all right, the great men of the scriptures. Hell, he says that he's a chosen people. Okay, so that's him covering the faces of the true judges with his face. Okay, they call it iconoclasm. Okay, it said if not, where and who is he? And that's a big indicator of who the wicked would be, which would be through iconoclasm, the only nation of people to put their faces on the true Israelites, on the Most High, on Yahweh Shai, on the Messiah. Okay, the only nation to do that. And that's an indicator that he will be the wicked. So if you look at, the iconoclasm where the images went from dark skin to Edomites, well, that's an indicator of who the wicked, because it said he will cover the faces of the judges thereof. Okay, now when you go to Malachi, let's put a nationality with the wicked. Okay, so you go to the book of Malachi, chapter 1, and verse 4. It says, where is Edom? You see that? Now it puts a name on it. Okay, where Edom says we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus said the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, the people against whom the Lord Yahweh Bashim Shai have indignation forever. Okay, so Edom is linked to being what? The border of wickedness. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Okay, now what nation of people will promise to have the fatness of the earth? There's two nations. Okay, but one will rule by the sword and will be classified as the wicked. So you go here, these devils have, because it wasn't until the Renaissance until they came into the fulfillment of the blessing, okay, of uh of Isaac, you know. The hell wrong with the So let's go here. So it was when the Renaissance, when these devils, was able to go and conquer the entire earth. Okay, Job 9 and 24 didn't happen until the Renaissance, when these devils was able to come back into power. Okay, after the Western Roman Empire fell. Okay, they had that 1,000 year, okay, detention. Okay, they was pushed off to the side. They was They have any influence. Okay, they wasn't involved. All right, in any type of rulership in any capacity, man, for 1,000 years. Okay, they was nobodies. You see, but after that, they was able to come back into power after 1,000 years, as it says, and they reestablished themselves. Okay, and they came into the fulfillment of the blessing that was given to them by Isaac. Now, just to real quick, because we identified the wicked as being Edom, the border of wickedness. They should call them the border of wickedness, whom the Lord will have in the nation forever. Okay, so when you go to the blessing of Esau, just to get to the point, it's in Genesis 27 and 38. It says, and Esau said unto his father, as thou but one blessing, my father, bless me. Give me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac, his father, answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and the dew of heaven from above. So Isaac is blessing him with the earth. He's blessing him with the earth. So Job 9 and 24, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Well, we identified the wicked with Esau. So Esau was given a blessing to have the earth given unto him. Okay? But how will he rule? And his rule will be temporal, because it's always associated with overthrow. The scripture speaks about this devil being in power, but then it associates, okay, him being in power with the overthrow. Okay, it says, and by the sword thou shalt live. Okay, it's one thing to conquer your enemies through war, but it's another thing to stay at constant war. This nigga lives by the sword. Okay, that's how he maintains his blessings, through the sword, through weaponry, military, all right, and economically as well. Psychological is always, because the sword done took in many forms, but he lives by being at war in some form or some fashion with the earth, man. Okay, and shall serve thy brother, and it shall come to pass when thou shalt have dominion. Okay, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. Okay, so these devils, they broke the yoke of Jake, going back to the Renaissance. And these devils took down, all right, the Byzantine Empire is the Ottoman Turks. Okay, they took down the Byzantine Empire. Okay, in 1453, around that time. Then they took down the Moors in Granada, 1492. You know, and they just began to conquer and take down Jake's strongholds. Okay, and insert themselves into power and dominion. Okay, according to prophecy, man. You see. So now this devil, this that little season that the Revelations speak about. Well, he's in that little season now. Okay, when he will be loose. So when you go into Revelation, okay, so we know Esau is the wicked, and he was blessed with the fatness of the earth, but then he was given the sword. So when you link, okay, the sword factor in Revelation 6 and 4, and there went out another horse that was red. Okay, we're gonna link that red in a minute as well. And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given him, all right, that set their own to take peace from the earth. So like that they should kill one another, and there was given him a great sword. Okay, so this red horse and him that sat thereon is speaking of Esau and his power. Horse symbolic for power. And right, you're sitting on the horse, you're in the position of authority. Okay, so Esau within his power structure, the earth was given to him, and what he was given a sword. Okay, and he was given the power to take peace from the earth. Okay, and this devil has the nerve to talk about a board of peace. You see, this nigga Trump talking about a board of peace, man. You know, which he's nothing but a do boy for the elites. those that really run the show behind the scene. Okay? Well, these devils, their whole rulership is them taking peace from the earth through this sword, man. Okay? So now let's link this red horse to Esau. Because even if you go back here to Genesis 25, when this devil sold the birthright, that's where he got the name Edom, because of this red meat that he couldn't even wait till it was finished. Impatient nigga. So this is Genesis 25 and 29. And Jacob saw a pottage, and Esau came from the field and was faint. So he came from hunting and he was hungry. And Esau said to Jacob, "Feed me, I pray thee, with the same red pottage, for I am faint." Therefore was his name called Edom. Okay? So his name is called Edom. And this is when the devil sells the birthright, man. Okay? And this is what the devil wants to take back, through the sword, through technology, that birthright. So when you go into Edom, what does it mean? Just to link it up with that red horse in Revelation. Because Esau was given a sword, okay? But then it identified him as a red horse. So you go into the Hebrew, which is Adam, okay? Which when you go into the definitions, is what Edom equals red. Okay, Edom, Edomite, Idumean, descendants of Esau. Okay? So in Revelation 6, all right, that red horse and he that setteth upon, this is speaking of Esau, Edom. Okay, the red man, the descendants of Esau. Okay? So the power structure that runs this current world system are Edomites, man, the red man. Okay? And then the devil, what his blood shows through his skin. Okay, the bloody man. Okay, the bloodthirsty man that he is. Okay, red goes into danger. Red is associated with sin. Okay, the scarlet colored beast. Okay, so this devil, he runs the earth. All right, these Edomites run the earth through an evil network, man. Okay, now one of the major families within that is the Rothschilds. And the Rothschilds, they played a major part in establishing these small hats as a state today. Okay, so I want to go into these small hats, and then we're going to link it up with this devil. Okay, Nero, how he's juiced in. Okay, with the Rothschilds. You see, and it's just nothing but a big wicked, all right, network. Okay, Edomites, man. All right, so let's go into a little rundown of the Rothschilds, and then we're going to fast forward to their creation, okay, of the state of Israel. All right, was made possible through the Rothschild family. Okay, so let's play this.
Have you ever wondered what happens when a banking dynasty meets sides of world history, intrigue, and a dash of myth? Enter the Rothschilds, a family whose footprint stretches from the foggy alleys of Frankfurt all the way to boardrooms, battlefields, and the corridors of power. But who are the Rothschilds, and how are they associated with the creation of Israel? Are the Rothschilds the most powerful yet most secretive family in the world? My name is Aisha Varma, and we tell you more about this elusive family in this episode of HT In Depth. The name can be traced back to a 16th century ancestor of Mayer Amschel Rothschild, who was alive from 1744 to 1812. That ancestor is Isaac Elkanin, who took the name Rothschild from a small house that he occupied at the southern end of the Judengasse, called Zum Roten's Shield, or the House at the Red Shield. They're originally a Jewish family from Frankfurt.
the house of the red shield. All right, Edom. Okay, there's a banner for Edom, man, and these elites know they're Edomites.
And they established one of the most influential banking dynasties in Europe starting in the late 18th century. Their influence grew after establishing an international banking network across the key European cities of Frankfurt, London, Paris, Vienna, and Naples. They pioneered cross border finance and financed major infrastructure projects such as railways, mines, and factories during the Industrial Revolution. The Rothschilds also played instrumental roles in political and economic affairs, including financing governments during wars and large-scale projects like the Suez Canal. Throughout the 19th century, they enabled European economic stability by arranging large international loans for governments, including a £5 million loan to Prussia in 1818 and significant loans for other states facing war or upheaval. In 1875, Lionel de Rothschild arranged a fast £4 million loan, which is several billion in today's terms, for British Prime Minister Benjamin Disraeli to buy the Egyptian Khedive's shares in the Suez Canal. This move gave Britain a controlling share in the canal and secured a vital trade route to India. This entire transaction was legendary for its speed and secrecy, with funds reportedly advanced on a gentleman's handshake between Disraeli and Rothschild without any formal paperwork and repaid within 5 months. By the mid-19th century, the Rothschilds began to enjoy the fruits of their labors, and when they were at their height, the Rothschild family collectively possessed one of the largest private fortunes in the world, which enabled them to create houses, gardens, and great collections that have since become a significant part of the heritage of Europe. Today, the Rothschild family's influence continues primarily through Rothschild and Co.
And they have their hands in everything, man. You look at all these different companies, and they have so many assets, and so many different asset companies, that work, in their interests. Okay, that you can never just pinpoint what all these devils have their hand in.
Europe. Today,
You just know that they got their hands, in some of everything, man. You look at all these companies, man. And then there's still just some of them, because all these companies do business under these banking umbrellas. Okay, these financial, all right, firms. Okay, so most of every major business you see, okay, is operating, okay, with the money of these elite bankers, man, especially the Rothschild banking cartel. Okay, so let it play.
Rothschild family's influence continues primarily through Rothschild and Co., a global financial advisory firm operating in investment banking, wealth management, and alternative assets. The family retains significant business interests in sectors such as finance, real estate, mining, energy, and winemaking, including ownership of historic vineyards. Now, while the nature of their influence has shifted over centuries, Rothschild & Co. remains a prominent player in global financial markets and mergers and acquisitions advisory. The family has historically been involved in philanthropy, supporting Jewish welfare, education, and early Zionist initiatives. Despite conspiracy theories, verified details show they have been crucial in shaping international finance and various industries over the past 2 centuries, with a legacy rooted in banking, business development, and philanthropy. The 5 arrows became an enduring symbol of the Rothschild.
I want to fast forward, just want to give a quick history on the family, and then just a PG-13, summary, but just to have a reference point. All right. So let's go here. The creation of Israel, to show you how vital was in placing, okay, these small hats in their land. Okay. It was a Rothschild family that really made that push, because their small hats, their Amalek. Okay. And they made a real push to put, all right, these small hats, okay, in what they call Palestine today. Okay, the state of Israel. So let's play this.
Lord Jacob Rothschild once made the statement, "My family created Israel." And this isn't an exaggeration. First, there was early financial support from the Rothschilds for Jewish settlements in Palestine. Then there was the Balfour Declaration. These were two crucial aspects of the creation of Israel. Baron Edmund James Rothschild was a key figure who financially supported Jewish settlements in Ottoman-controlled Palestine in the 1880s. Baron Rothschild invested more than £5 million in the land of Israel, bought around 50,000 hectares, and aided in the establishment of around 30 villages, factories, wineries, and production plants that became the backbone of the Israeli economy. James A.D. Rothschild financed government buildings in Israel, such as the Supreme Court building and the Knesset building. But now let's come to the Balfour Declaration. On November 2nd of 1917, something historic happened that would shape the future of the Middle East. It was the day the British government openly supported the idea of a Jewish homeland in Palestine. This wasn't just any statement. It came in a letter from Arthur Balfour, the British Foreign Secretary to Lionel Walter Rothschild, an influential leader in the British Jewish community. Known as the Balfour Declaration, this letter promised that Britain would use its best efforts to help establish a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine. What's interesting is how carefully the language was chosen. Instead of saying a Jewish state, the declaration used the softer term national home. This is seen as a deliberate move to keep the Zionist ambitions in check and avoid too much controversy. After all, the land was already inhabited by Arab communities. The declaration tried to reassure that the civil and religious rights of these existing non-Jewish communities wouldn't be harmed. But it didn't promise anything about their political or national rights. This document not only laid the groundwork for the creation of Israel decades later, but it also planted the seeds of a conflict that still affects the region today. The Balfour Declaration was more than just words on paper. It was the spark that set the stage for a complex and deeply important chapter in history. So the Rothschilds are less shadowy puppet masters and more the ultimate financiers, a clan who stitched themselves into the fabric of Europe's history.
Yeah, man, them devils, they finance a lot of wickedness. You know, I believe it was Nathan Rothschild that financed the Atlantic slave trade. These devils have financed a lot of wickedness when you go into the Rothschild family. Okay, but there was just a little light, info about them. Not to go too deep into them, but I want to bring this out so I can begin to, so we can link this up with the devil. Okay, Trump. All right, let's get a quick precept dealing with prophecy. All right, on how what these devils did by appointing themselves, their land. Okay, and establish themselves to claim to be the chosen people. Well, they fulfilled this prophecy. This Ezekiel 30, okay, 6:1. It says, also, thou son of man, prophesy unto the mountains of Israel, and say, ye mountains of Israel, hear the word of the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Shai. Thus said the Lord power, because the enemy have said against you, aha, even the ancient high places are ours in possession. These devils, when they came into power, they had the power to appoint themselves our land in their possession, man. It said, therefore prophesy and say, thus said the Lord, because they have made you desolate and swallow you up on every side. Yeah, these devils just start coming from everywhere, setting up shop in our land. And you already had the heathen, the Ishmaelites, Palestine, because what they call the Palestinians was mainly those are Ishmaelites. They was already there. Okay, it's not their land neither. Okay, but then you have what you call the Elias. Okay, the different pilgrimage and the different devils start being shipped in from all over the world, man. Okay, from all corners of the earth, these devils just start popping up, claiming to be us, going back to their land. It says, swallow you up on every side, that you might be a possession unto the residue of the heathen, and you are taken up in the lips of talkers, and are an infamy of the people. And infamy goes into being infamous. which infamous as being famous for wickedness and evil. Okay, and these devils, okay, have made our land infamous, man. When you think of the state of Israel, the land of Israel, you think of wickedness, man. You think of genocide. You think of, lewdness. Okay, you think about, these, all these people in these high offices are small hats. Okay, you think of censorship. You think of, these devils being the bully but playing the victim. Okay, so now they've associated, our land with infamy, man, with wickedness. It says, therefore, ye mountains of Israel, hear the word of the Lord power. Thus said the Lord power to the mountains and to the hills and to the rivers and the valleys and the desolate wastes and the cities that are forsaken, which became a prey, a derision to the residue of the heathen that are round about it, man. And these heathens have been fighting over our land. They've been setting up shop in our land. Okay, defiling our land. Because you got them Palestinians that's into Islam, which that's off. The defilement, you got the Rock of the Dome. Okay. And then you small hats. Okay. You're into everything, the Talmud. Okay, circumcising uh children with your mouth. Okay. There's all type of wickedness. Tel Aviv, the biggest gay parade on earth. Oh, okay, complete defilement of the land under these heathens, man. Mainly Esau. Okay, verse 5 said, therefore, thus said the Lord power, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen. Okay, and it's gonna be through war in the chariots, man. How shot in the chariots. Okay, when he comes to judge. Okay, this place is gonna be judged with war in the chariots, man. It says, and against all Idumea. You see that? All Idumea, Esau, Edom, the usual suspect. Okay, which have appointed, all right, the Balfour Declaration, my land in their possession with the joy of all their heart, with despiteful minds to cast it out for a prey. Okay, and they in their land just being spiteful, man. These devils, these elites, going back to these Rothschilds and these other elite families, man, they did that to be spiteful, man, because they want their birthright back. They know they're not the people. Okay, now you got them simple people that's been over there, for generations. They think, simple Edomites, they think they're really the people. Okay, but these elites and these banking families, they know they're not the people. Okay, but they did that to be spiteful. All right, because it was in their power to do so. But it's gonna be Howard Shah that's gonna come judge and set everything all right, man. Gonna clear that land out. All right, this war in Howard Shah gonna clear that land out. It's gonna be renovated for the true people. Okay, so let's go here. Well, all them devils did was fulfill prophecy, man. So let's go here with this devil here. Yep. So now let's look at the dealings with Trump. All right, you're gonna play a few minutes of it, and just to show you, okay, how Trump is tied into all this, man. Okay, and he's a do boy for a global agenda. Okay, he never cared about America. He was never America first. Okay, these are globalists. They've been thinking beyond borders. They're not faithful to any, all right, government. Okay, they got a global agenda. Okay, and Trump is tied into it. So let's play this.
So basically, Trump as a business icon would not have existed beyond early 1990s if it wasn't for the Rothschild banking interests, who have a lot of affiliations to people in sort of the Epstein network, and specifically Epstein's financial crimes, which include a lot of currency speculation. And for anyone that's familiar, the Rothschild family has a very long and storied history with Zionism and the establishment of the state of Israel and being a major patron of that. So, they've definitely had a lot of influence, I would think, over Trump now, since he owes them a lot.
Let's talk about Trump and Epstein.
Sure. Trump, his mentor, is a big focus of my book. Roy Cohn was a mob lawyer and had ties to this network that I just mentioned, pretty direct ties that I talk about in my book. And Roy Cohn was also involved in sex blackmail stuff, that a ring that allegedly blackmailed J. Edgar Hoover, among others, and prevented him from going after organized crime in the United States. And Roy Cohn was also Donald Trump's lawyer while also representing some of these mob bosses and other things. But aside from that, Trump in the late 80s got involved with this company called Resorts International. He became the controlling shareholder of it, I think, in 1987. And that was a pretty notorious CIA mob front company that was involved in all this really shady stuff in the Caribbean involving Mayor Lansky specifically. Trump took a controlling stake in it for the purpose of expanding his hotel and casino holdings, specifically in Atlantic City. During this period of time, he's hanging out on Robert Maxwell's yacht, for example, photographed with people like Steve Ross of Time Warner fame, who was linked to organized crime. Maxwell, the former Senator John Tower, who was an accessory with Robert Maxwell of the Promise software scandal, which again was U.S.-Israeli collaboration in committing crime, basically. He, allegedly became close to Ghislaine in this period, and also to Epstein, reportedly frequently partying with Epstein and Tom Barrack of Colony Capital, who's in the administration now, I believe, as ambassador to Turkey or something like that. And, they were, international playboys together, and Epstein in this period Trump in this period had also become close, reportedly, to John Casablanca of Elite Model Management, who is known for his preference of quote unquote child women, and his moms have a lot of scandalous accusations about trafficking and other things to figures like Adnan Khashoggi in the 80s, who was one of Epstein's clients in the 80s as well. So a lot of these guys are swimming in kind of disturbing waters of dubious legality, to put it lightly. And then in the early 90s, Trump's Atlantic City holdings and other things drag down his business empire, and he declares bankruptcy. And in order to be bailed out, he's bailed out by Wilbur Ross, who he later rewards for that when he's president the first time, making him Commerce Secretary. But at the time, Wilbur Ross was representing the Rothschild banking interests. And the Rothschild banking interests, specifically this Wall Street M&A arm that they opened up in the 80s, was responsible for bringing Robert Maxwell to New York. So basically, Trump as a business icon would not have existed beyond the early 1990s if it wasn't for the Rothschild banking interests, who have a lot of affiliations to people in sort of the Epstein network, and specifically Epstein's financial crimes, which include a lot of currency speculation. And this, what the New York Times once called a currency speculation cabal, including people like Jamie Goldsmith, also backed by the Rothschilds, and even George Soros, whose first, his quantum fund in like the late 60s was bankrolled by the French Rothschild interests. And for anyone that's familiar, the Rothschild family has a very long and storied history with Zionism and the establishment of the state of Israel, and being a major patron of that. So, they've definitely had a lot of influence, I would think, over Trump now, since he owes them a lot. And also, the Epstein friendship.
Yeah, man. So you see how it's all tied in. Okay, because they were talking about Robert Maxwell, which he was the father of Jessalyn Maxwell, which, she was one of the main culprits with the Epstein Island thing. But they're all juiced in. Epstein Island is just one of many. All right, there's plenty of functioning Epstein Islands right now as we speak. Okay, but you see how Trump is juiced in, and the Rothschilds had to bail him out. Okay, going back to the 80s. You see? So he's been in debt, all right, to the Rothschild banking family. And that's why they say Trump is the most pro, all right, a small hat president that's been in office, man. Okay, because it's juiced in. Both of his daughters are married to small hats, Jared Kushner. Okay, a small hat married to his daughter. Okay, he has another daughter married into, all right, another small hat family, these real estate small hat companies, man. Okay, and that's why you see with Gaza what they're talking about, a real estate project. You see they're talking about turning Gaza into a whole real estate project, man. Okay, because it's just one network of wickedness that runs the earth, man. Okay, let's go here. Let's just go here to the book of Micah. Bring it home with the book of Micah. Okay. When you go to the book of Micah, it's the book of Micah, chapter 2, and verse 1. It says, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. Okay? And these devils, they're able to have, these secret councils, okay, in their bed, which is in their rulership, their rest, So in their rest and their rulership, they're able to devise, all this wickedness and bring it to pass because they have all their people in power. Everybody's bought and paid for, sold out and corrupted. There's no integrity amongst, all right, the ranks of Esau, Edom. Scripture say their right hand, the right hand of falsehood. Their right hand is supposed to be a place of honor. Okay? But there's no integrity among, okay, these devils, man. All of them are wicked. You see? It's fully corrupted. And they're able to scheme and plot and counsel. And then they're able to carry these things out because all right, their wicked cronies are in power. You got a whole wicked family that's in power. Verse 2, it says, and they covet fields and take them by violence, man. Going back to their sword he was blessed with. You see, and the field is the earth. Okay, so this devil, even though he's given the fatness of the earth, man, he looks at anybody enjoying the earth. Remember, he was given the power to take peace from the earth, man. So this devil, he's at war with peace. If you're in peace, you're a threat to this devil, man. Okay? Any type of peace, man, you're a threat to this devil. It says in houses and take them away, so that they oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage. Therefore, thus saith the Lord power, behold, against this family. You see, against this family, man, this family of Edom. Okay? Do I devise an evil, which is bad times, from which ye shall not remove your necks, neither shall you go haughtily. Okay? For this time is evil. Okay? And these devils, they're used to wiggling out of judgment because they're in power. Okay? They're not, these devils, they don't judge themselves. Okay? So they're able to do this wickedness and just ride off into the sunset, on to the next. Okay, and it's just generation upon generation of just wickedness that has been done by this family, and they haven't been judged. But see, now we in that generation where the Lord is from the judge, they're not going to remove their neck. They're not going to escape judgment. They're not going to walk away proudly, man. Okay, Esau is not going to walk away from this judgment that the Lord is getting ready to bring, man. He's not walking away from this one. Okay, so yeah, that was the point. Just wanted to bring that out. Lord will, you brothers and you few sisters edified once again. I want to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Kakadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders, GMS, who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers. And peace and blessing salutations to the hopeful Shalom.